Good evening. Good evening. I'm your host, Kimberly Sanders, and this is
Aaron Sanders.
And our show is called Let's Talk Money. Now, I'm glad to be back in the studio.
It's
glad
been
to
a
be.
while.
I know it definitely has been a while.
Yes.
A lot has been going on. It's a lot to tackle here. I know that, it's been a lot going on since the pandemic. It's been a lot of pandemic money out here.
Yes.
But things are now starting to slow up.
Yeah, they drying up a little bit.
The
Folks
people-
wondering what they're going to do now.
All right. The PPP is over with.
Yep.
But the economic injury disaster loan
That's
is
right.
still going.
That's the EIDL, for y'all don't know the whole
It's
thing.
credit based, so you
Credit-based.
do have to have at least, I believe it's a 620.
You're correct. 630 is actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
But you're right. It's 630.
Okay, so you got to have at least a 630 to get that. And if you don't qualify for that, you should get invited to the targeted advance.
Correct.
Which is the $15,000 grant. So
Free money, baby.
Yeah, that's free.
So
you just
if
have
you
to have
don't qualify, at least put your application in so you can be able to get the free money if you don't get the big money.
Oh, so wait. So you're telling me that if I don't have good credit, I can still apply for the EIDL
Correct.
and possibly get the grant for $15,000.
That's correct. That's the targeted and the supplemental, which combined together is $15,000, and you do not have to pay it back. So it's actually almost as good as the EIDL, because
Right.
the EIDL you do have to pay it back, but you get so much time.
But wait, how could it be as good as the EIDL?
Because
the
you can
EIDL, you can get so much more.
Yeah, but you get so much more money. That's what I mean. You get so much more money, and you get so much time to pay it off. If you plan it out properly, this thing can make your life in a much better, solid foundation.
Yeah, they recently raised it up to, what is it, $2 million?
2.6 million.
Oh.
Because I remember the maximum most folks are getting a
2.6
couple $100,000, $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah.
Now people are getting $600,000-$700,000. We have clients getting that money right now, and all they did simply a few months back was get the first $150,000, which is pretty typical of what the average client was getting in our office. So we made sure that we understood the program. So therefore, we're telling you, listen, if you do not have anything else to do,
Okay.
if you have a business that you're looking to get started moving forward, it's not for startups. You have to be in business for at least 6 months to a year.
I thought you need to have the 219 on your business on your taxes, no?
Correct. So that means if you had a 2019 tax return, you're going to show that your business has been in that time period. And remember, they're going to be looking at part of the target, as you know, each month they're going to be looking at the income. And so it's going to be based on your income. The EIDL is an income-based loan.
Right.
Your loan is based on approximately 50% of your total sales. So those are the type of things that you need to keep in mind. You get an idea exactly what you're going to get. Now, if you've never applied for EIDL, you didn't file your tax returns, that actually puts you in a better position because we now know exactly what they're looking for, and we can file your tax returns accordingly.
Right. So just say if you've been in business for a while, but you haven't filed your taxes and, just tackled that task of getting that together, submitting those numbers. But now it can even be more advantageous to you because you can do the EIDL and you can file your taxes. So.
That's correct. And with those things being the case, you can get a lot of things done. And matter of fact, you can apply for more than one SBA loan. You have the SBA loan at 507, you have the SBA loan Express, and now you have the EIDL. We encourage you to include all of those in your artillery so that you can have the best foundation, solid foundation you can get. Remember, this money is not due back for 30 years. They don't give out 30-year loans for businesses unless it's for a house. And so you can't beat this loan. What is the interest rate 2.5 or 3. I don't recall.
I thought it was 3.5 or 3.7%.
Whatever the case is, it's low as hell, and you need to understand. Take advantage of this.
They don't give loans that low.
They don't give loans that low. They don't give them that long.
Right.
This is exactly, and they extended the time to pay. So if you get a loan this year, you don't start paying until next year. You got a whole year. No one gives that type of break. So whatever you might have heard about that particular loan, we encourage you to take the time to look into it yourself and at least give us a call. Give us a call at the office at 248-569-9120, 569-9120. Ask for Kimberly or myself, and we'll be more than happy to at least give you the information. If you just want more information, we encourage you to take the time to learn.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I think this is a part that gets everyone. What is the difference between the PPP and the EIDL?
Well, the main difference is, one, you don't have to pay it back. The PPP loan was a forgivable loan. It was a loan. But if you did according to what was necessary, then the entire amount was forgivable. Second, it's no qualifications at all, regardless of credit. All you had to do was be in business and submit your application in time. If you got it in time, you got the money. There weren't many questions asked, so that's the main difference. Now, majority of our clients and majority of people who have a business, they're mom and pop. And what I mean by that is just them. So most of the people, if you did it accurately, correctly, and legally, the maximum amount of money you got that's free is $20,850.
Well, but then that would have been for both rounds, right? Per round.
No. You could have came your second round and got another $20,850.
So everyone got $40,000. Is that what you're telling me? That's why it's no one working.
You're probably right about that.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
But that was some time ago. It's wore out by now. I know they spent it up. I've been to the malls. I've seen them extra cousins out there, so I know that they spent this money. And now it's time.
You think they spent it? They're not working.
They don't want to work.
Well, I think the companies that they're working for are crappy anyway.
Well, understood. I agree with that. The amount of money that they're paying them based on what the work they're making and earnings and they're living, you're right. This has kind of forced people to understand that, wait a minute. So now y'all willing to pay me $15, $16, $17 an hour, but before it was minimum wage. What's changed? The demand. Well, and see, as you see now.
Well, Target got a PPP.
Yeah, they got it. They showed it millions. Millions.
So maybe that's what's changed. They have more money.
They got more money to give up now. It's a whole lot of things have changed. So the typical job that you would get making minimum wage is now paying you $17, $18 an hour. And that has not even really gotten a lot of people out. Well, so you'd be surprised. You're right, babe. Nobody wants to work.
I'm surprised, but also I just want to talk about that for a minute. If people are paying $15 an hour, how much do you think things should cost now? Do you think that things should stay at that base price that they were at?
Oh, they can't.
Right.
That's
the only thing. Is like people don't want to see the price of things go up, but they want to make more money.
Well, that doesn't work that way, particularly in the small businesses. This is almost impossible to do that. Now, your larger corporations, they may be able to do that because they've been holding back for some time anyways.
Right.
So they've had the leverage where, okay, we could have paid $20 an hour. You remember what Chrysler used to pay back in the day in the 70s? They were paying people a ridiculous amount of money. Janitors making $80, $90, $100,000 a year. So with that being the case, they always had the money.
Right.
The big companies, they got it. The smaller companies, in order to compete, they're going to have to find it. And that's where we come in. We come in to help you because you're competing against people starting out at $15 an hour.
Right.
That's not been the case for most of the individuals that I know who have a small business. And now that the demand is there for that dollar amount, it is important that you be able to make it. And in order for you to keep your business open, you have to be willing to pay that price. And more importantly, you have to be able to pay that rate.
Right. I mean, because a lot of businesses have shut their doors.
Yes, they
but
have.
It may be due to lack of help.
22% of all businesses are out of business because of lack of help. Now that's wow. I learned that 22% of all businesses. You're right. That's right.
That is pretty sad. But
that's sad because nobody wants to work
at your crappy job.
Think about it.
Let's don't forget to add that in there.
You're right. You're right.
You got the Waltons who are billionaires and they've got people working for crumbs.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where we are now in the only position that we can empower as consumers and as workers to demand a higher wage, an adult wage, an adult living wage is what we're looking for. And you can go to McDonald's now and get an adult living wage, the same price that Chrysler's paying. You got folks at McDonald's making that. You got people at Target making that, $17, $18 an hour.
I seen a meme where a guy was saying he was a French fry engineer.
At $18 an hour now. And you also have, what we got going on? All types of small businesses are really having a hard time coming up to bat in order to face that minimum wage, which has now become $15 an hour.
Well, okay, so I just want to double back to the PPP. So the difference in the PPP and the EIDL is credit,
Correct.
the amount, and the requirements.
Well, yes, credit, the amount, and the requirements.
Okay.
And the amount, that's based on the fact that if you have employees or you don't have employees. So
Okay.
that's the difference there.
And then the targeted advance.
But that is only if you fall into the categories of being in that supplemental area where you are
Low income
and low
area.
income, right?
Okay.
And if you're in the area where your business is a higher demand, but it doesn't have as much, I guess you could say, force in the area. in
And
the community.
also, due to the pandemic, you would have had to have a 70% drop in the sales.
50 to 70% drop in sales in order to get the supplemental, because that shows that you are in a danger and you are losing your business. And so this money was to help you.
It is $15,000.
Yes.
And you don't have to pay it back.
No, you do not have to pay it back. It is a loan that you do not, I'm sorry, it is a grant
Right.
that you do not pay back.
Okay.
So it's different than the PPP loan that you don't have to pay back, because it's never been a loan. The PPP is a forgivable loan, and you
Right.
still got to qualify for the forgiveness, but it's a very simple process.
Oh, okay. So what are the contingents that you don't qualify?
You have to utilize that money as you said you would. And so when you first got on there and made your application,
So I can't go to the Gucci store with it?
well, only if you own a Gucci store and you were a supplemental retailer. See, if you were a retailer of Gucci, you could do it.
Right.
But if you are
So
a,
what would have been the best way to spend our PPP money?
I told everybody the best way to spend your money, as long as you qualify for 60% went to the employees and you are the only person, make yourself 60% of that employee wage and you covered.
Oh, so pay yourself 60%.
Which was a requirement that you had to pay in the first place. You had to pay 60% in wages
Okay.
for it to be forgivable.
Okay.
You had to pay at least, and they had to break down, and I don't recall it now because it's been almost a year
You think
now.
they'll bring the PPP back?
You know what? I didn't think they were gonna bring it back the second time when they brought it back. So to be honest with you, I can't tell you that. Now it's been no talk on it, and it may not be because there's been a high amount of fraud. I think if it comes back, it's gonna be very restrictive. They're gonna have a lot more restrictions on it because the second time it came around, there were higher restrictions. You've seen the things people get. They're doing what they can do. They're doing what your cousins do when it comes to unemployment and the PPP loan. And it's not like I believe that the government didn't know that. By all means, they knew it. They knew it. And they took the precautions of the amount of money they had available for that. So that's not nothing new.
Right. Okay, so you know what? I've been checking out on the website, the Shutter Fund grant.
Yes, SVO. The Shutter
I
vendor.
think a lot of people we know qualify for that.
That is an excellent loan, and it's
Is
a
that a
quiet
loan or a grant?
I'm sorry, it is a loan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a loan. It has to be paid back. But it's targeted for individuals
Okay.
who have outdoor events. A lot of outdoor events were canceled because of the COVID. Well, we had a lot of individuals who we didn't know about that were actually in that type of business. So if
Okay.
you're in the event planning business,
Right.
if you are always having events outdoors, concerts,
Event planners, yes.
concerts, you sold tickets, and all those things were shut down because of the COVID, then they have a loan for you.
Okay.
And we recommend that you give us a call at 248-569-9120 to give us a call, and that we will be able to help show you and help you put that stuff together.
Now let me ask you this: in that Shutter Fund, I thought it was a grant. It's not a grant.
No.
Okay,
You know what? Let's
that's
do a double
fine.
check. Because I was under the impression that it was definitely not a grant.
I thought it was
a
a
loan.
Shutter Fund grant, but okay.
You could be correct.
But let me ask you this: are there any credit requirements for that grant or loan?
They've changed it twice, and so before I answer, let me double check, but I'm not sure. I know that we've had 3 people apply who were those who put together the outdoor events. A lot of the civic centers have taken advantage of that loan because of the fact that they had outdoor events that were canceled, and so a lot of people who weren't able to do their night events, they took advantage of that loan.
Okay. So I was just trying. I didn't know. I thought it was a grant, but I guess I'm wrong. Yeah,
It's a shut-up loan. It's a loan.
it's a loan. Okay, well that's
it's
fine.
a division of the SBA, just like it was before.
I mean, that's fine. At least they're thinking and they have, things available. Okay, the unemployment. Another question I was just wondering, do you think Biden will forgive another $10K of that unemployment?
I don't know. I was surprised he did the amount that he did because at first he was completely against it. So
because everyone was, so scared. You're saying you got a PPP loan, you're filing the unemployment, and then look at God, the 10K of the unemployment gets written off, and no one's bothering people. What do you have to say to that? Do you think this unemployment will take the full ride for it, or will we again get the 10K?
I think they're going to do another 10K off of there because you know why? It's expected.
Yay! Yes,
it's expected.
It is.
You kind of go with the volume. You give me unemployment again, I'm not expecting to pay the full amount because that was the reason why nothing's truly changed. People's situations are still basically the same. And so therefore, 1 year difference is not enough time to say, okay, you guys are back on your feet. You're going to pay your taxes on that. No, I think they're going to give it. And you know what? The SVOG is a grant. You are correct.
I was correct,
Yes,
people.
yes, she was correct. It's called the Shutter Venue Operators Grant.
You don't have to pay it back, guys.
You don't have to pay it back.
Where are my event planners out there?
Where are the event planners? We need to talk to you people. Where are the people who put down all the food in the summertime? We have these big things
Food
to
trucks,
do, and no one's around.
Right.
We want to talk to y'all. We want to
Right.
get y'all together and say, look, we got some money for you because the government says they miss outdoor events too.
Now, do you know how much they're giving on that grant, or is that based on what you submit as far as numbers?
It's based on what you submit in your numbers and what you did in the previous years. They got $1.6 billion strictly for that particular grant.
Oh my God, guys!
So I think that's enough money.
Event planners.
Yeah, I think that's enough money where we can get something done.
Well, that's great. That's great. Okay, next question I have for you. What happened to the refunds? What happened?
Well,
people were leaving the office with $10,000 refunds after getting the unemployment. It was forgiven. Like, what happened? Some people still haven't gotten their refund.
And you're right. A lot of things have happened. One, keep in mind, is the Internal Revenue Service themselves have caked on a lot more work than expected.
Okay.
One would be, like you said, the unemployment. Okay. Well, prior to April, unemployment was taxable. So people who came and filed their tax return between January and April, they got taxed for that money.
Right.
When Biden made the change in the mid-April, then therefore the people who had already paid taxes on their money had to be refunded. So therefore, retroactively, the law became effective. With them as well. So the first, I think it's 4.5 million people who filed their returns. All had to get refunds. On top of the other 20.5 million people who had just filed their returns, who were expecting refunds. In addition to, you have money that's coming back for your stimulus pay. Well, if you didn't get your money in 2019, therefore, you were allowed to add whatever missing money from the stimulus grant that you were given to be added to your refund amount for your 2020 return. Now, that money, even though it was added into your refund amount, did not come to you as a refund. It came separately with some separate funding. So even though added together, it came separately.
From a different department, correct?
From a different department of the United States government. But therefore, your money that came for stimulus might have been $4,000, and you might have had a $6,000 refund. And I told you it was total $10,000, and then you got your $6,000. And 3 weeks later, you still haven't got the other $4,000. You're calling me. It's because they haven't released those funds yet.
But it wasn't 3 weeks. It was more like
3 months.
6 months.
Yeah, a lot of folks have been waiting months.
People are still waiting on their refunds.
And again, the mistake can be also from the taxpayer. If you did not accurately inform us or your tax preparer that the amount of money that you received for stimulus amount was accurate, and you put on there that you didn't get the check and you did get the check, or you told me you got $3,000 and you really got $4,000, that's going to hold your refund up, because I can guarantee you
they're going to cross their T's and dot their I's.
Takes excellent money records. And so if they gave you $1 too much, they'll know. Many people just didn't remember. And it became a big mess. I don't think they're going to do that again that way, or they're going to have to find a better way. If people are missing money, they have to go to a separate route, because the refunds, a lot of refunds were held up, and they got letters in the mail saying, your preparer made a mistake. Well, that's not accurate. The letter is simply stating the Social Security might have been wrong. It lists about 4 or 5 things that could have been wrong, and it all boils down to the amount of money that you reported that you received was not accurate. And that has happened on a lot of my clients. And this is the first time for us, too, as preparers, as tax accountants. And therefore, we're going through this just like you are. We, of course, will have access to more information, but again, that information is only as accurate as it shows to be through experience. And this is a first-time experience, so we're asking you, be a little light on your preparers and your tax accountants. Believe me, they want you to have your money, because many times if you came in early, we don't get our money until you get your money.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's all about everybody getting paid. Okay, I just want to talk about credit for a minute, because I know that has been one of the things that has been big as far as even some of the loans from the
Correct.
SBA.
And it's
based on credit. Yeah,
it's always
based
a
on
big
credit.
topic, and it's always an ongoing topic. And it seems like the best way that we've thought was to give education.
Okay.
It's to educate the people instead of just saying, hey, let me fix your credit and come on back next week. That hasn't worked well.
Okay.
Because we get too many people come back a year later, 2 years later, and they're right back in the same position. So, as you know, we are really big on educating.
Okay.
We always give you that option to do it yourself or to done for you. And we really push to do it yourself because it allows you to learn the things that you should learn when it comes to your money. And as you know, we think about the financial triangle, the money triangle as you call it: tax, credit, and finance.
Okay.
And so now we're on credit. And we always seem to come to this object of this credit issue. Is it easy to improve your credit? Yes. Is it something that you need to learn about? Yes. And so we give you that option. You can learn about it or you can have us do it. But we encourage you. People miss out on a lot of money. We're not talking about you got to have an 800 credit score. We're talking about having an average. Yeah, we definitely want to get you there. But we want to make sure that you at least take advantage of the government loans. They are the most advantageous, the most simplest returns that you can do, and it is giving out money that you definitely can't borrow this cheap. It is a lot easier to borrow $100,000 as it is to earn it. So therefore, we recommend getting your credit in order.
Okay, so getting your credit in order, why, I guess, help people understand why that's something that needs to be pushed in order to take your business to the next level.
It's kind of like walking around saying, I don't do credit cards. I don't have debit cards. I only do cash. You're going to limit yourself on the things that you can do because that's not where the world is going anymore. We're becoming a cashless place. Even though money is necessary, you can't use cash as much. Some folks don't even take cash. And as you notice, you go to certain restaurants where they tell you, we have a short on change. So could you please use your debit card or give us the exact amount of money? A way to discourage you to use the money, the tangible money, because we're getting into digital currency. As you know about that, the fintech things such as your Cash Apps, your Venmos, those are all your fintechs. And those financial technology apps.
I don't mean to cut you off. So you think that we're going to move to digital currency?
Oh, we're doing it right now.
Primarily?
Oh, it will be soon enough.
That's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. There's absolutely no reason why we should have currency.
Guys.
Why do I need to have dollars in my pocket?
You can't buy drugs with a credit card.
Oh, by all means you can. Oh, yes, you can. By all means, let me tell you something. There are two companies right now that do the marijuana.
You're talking marijuana. I'm talking hardcore drugs.
No, let me explain something.
You're not going up to your dealer like, let me get it. Dog food.
You Cash Apple.
They don't want to trail.
Yeah, they Cash Apping now. Believe me. Listen, they Cash Apping, folks, because it's moving that way. Now, granted, you may not believe it's moving that way, but it's moving that way. And so I said that in a comparison to credit. It's moving that way, where more things that you can do is based on credit. There was a time where cash was king, but credit stole the crown. And so now it can't do what you could do with credit. Cash can't do what you used to do. People are asking for credit now. That time you buy a house, they don't even care about your credit. Well, guess what? Now they do. Even in apartments, getting a job. These things were not something 10 years ago that people looked at when you apply for a job. How's your credit? But they do now. How's your credit to get insurance? Think about that. Your driving insurance for your auto insurance is still based right now on partial credit. They've been trying to get that out for some years now, but it's here. And so either you can fight City Hall or you can get your credit order that allow you to get better things. Now, there are everybody in the world doing credit repair. We tell you, take the time to learn. We want to teach you. Now, we do have a do-it-yourself, but we prefer you do it that way. But we also offer the done-for-you program. And again, We simply give you the basic steps on improving personal credit.
Well, when you're doing a done for program, you have to be totally submissive to what people are saying. I think
That's correct. You're
that's
right.
the hardest part for me when someone is repairing their credit and you're trying to tell them to pay their balances down and they don't, or you're trying to fix the credit, they're applying for credit
Right.
cards.
Exactly.
That's why I like the self-taught or the self way, because you're more on it.
Yeah,
you
you're
know
right.
exactly what you're doing. You're not
But
filling
people
up.
are by nature lazy, so that's why we have that program. And so therefore, they have to understand that these are the things, and we make it real clear. If it's a done-for-you program, these are things that you're going to have to do, and we need these done. Otherwise, we can't do the work.
Okay.
Period. You just have to make it clear. And more people are doing the done-for-you. Are beginning to do it for themselves.
Okay.
Because it's less expensive.
Right.
And it's much more valuable. You get to know what to do if you get yourself back in that situation, and you don't have to pay for it again.
Okay.
That's not what you can do when it's done for you. I'm doing it, it's over with, and if you mess it up again, you got to come back and pay if you want to get that perfect credit score again.
Right. So learning has its advantages. And,
Most definitely.
And then if you don't have time, that has its advantages as well.
True.
Okay, next. Tax season is almost upon us.
Again, I feel like it just left.
Yeah, it does feel like it
Because
just
October 15th was the last day for the extension. And
Well-
this year they extended everything to May 17th. So it was a weird tax season. It's like it's still going on.
So they didn't extend out the close of it?
No,
Okay.
not the extension. The extension still was October 15th, and that was the deadline for the tax
Okay,
season for
so-
2020.
So, getting the PPP money or the EIDL money, does that have to be filed on our taxes?
No, the beauty thing about any loan is that loans are not considered income.
Okay.
And therefore, only things that are considered income is taxable. So loans are not taxable because you are paying it back.
Oh,
now,
wow.
it's kind of like if you pull money out your 401k. If you borrow money against your 401k, you don't have to pay it back. I'm sorry, it's not taxable. You're just paying it back to yourself. But if you pull the money out and do not pay it back, then that money becomes taxable part of your other income.
Right.
The same thing as the EIDL loans and PPP loans. That's not income because you had to pay it back. Now, even though the PPP was a forgivable loan, it still fell under the category of a loan because not everybody qualified.
Okay, so you don't have to put the funds you receive in your taxes. But how about the income you say that you made? Does that have to be on your taxes?
Now, the income that you made from outside services that allowed you to do so because you got the loan, then yes. Because the loan allowed you to do certain things, so therefore anything profitable above that loan is taxable income.
So many of us did not file our taxes like that. We got the PPP loan. We had already filed our taxes.
Yep.
We had someone do it for us. What's the repercussion?
Well, if you're doing it, if you got the PPP loan after the fact, that depends on when you got the money. Did you get the PPP loan in 2021? Where you got to report it this coming
Well,
tax
I know
season?
some people that got it this year, and they had already filed, and
Okay,
they were
got
able
it
to.
this year. Then that means you're going to file it for next year coming up.
Got you.
Yeah. So because any income received in 2021 is going to be filed and reported in the year 2022.
But I guess is someone really checking to see? I guess you filed this PPP loan. You said you made $108,000. You didn't put that in your taxes. Is that? I guess I'm asking. Do you feel like that's coming for, people soon?
But this is the question: how do we know he made $108,000? Is it recorded somewhere?
It was put into the PPP loan application.
No, those are the sales he made for that year.
Well, I guess I'm
You mean
saying
if
those.
the application doesn't match the tax return?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're looking at straight up line, so you got to fix it. If you
Are they coming for that? I guess that's what I'm asking you. Do you feel like they're coming? We've got the PPP loan. Like I said,
Only
we had.
if it's a noticeable amount. You're talking about the amounts that most people get? No. If you're talking about anything over $150,000,
Guys,
as far as
we're-
receiving $150,000, and it's completely, you reported $10,000 on your tax return, that could actually put a red flag. Now, we're talking about the people that got caught. You've all seen them on the TV. They got caught because of millions of dollars they're doing.
Well,
still.
those people say that they have employees, correct?
Correct.
So it's wire fraud all across the board because you need the
You made up
Social Security
employees,
numbers.
You filed up taxes.
You're right.
You
You
filed up people. You made up names. You got Social Security numbers of people who never worked for you. You've done some things to get these dollars, but I never recommend that because that's too much paper trail.
And that's a lot of fraud.
Whole lot of paper trail too. You can't even get around it.
Right.
Money direct in your deposit. You got your name, your account number on there. You got all these people saying you work for you. People, it's not worth it. It's best to just prepare your business properly and stay within your means.
And try to get that grant, especially
get
if
these
you're an
grants.
event planner or you're, you had your business and you haven't filed yet, and you can get the target advance. I mean, that's $15K to the good.
That's right. And even if you did file, you may be able to amend your return to properly show that you didn't report all your income. Because guess what?
Okay,
Some
so you're
folks did.
saying amend a return, and I've amended some returns, and we have yet to have those returns in the system.
Well, that's unfortunately the problem with the Internal Revenue Service because they're behind again. So
that
we are
sucks.
adding everyday administrative services, but yet they can't get to us.
Okay.
They can't get us the information that we need to have because they're short-sighted. So you're right. We can only file and put the amendment in there, and then now because of the IRS backlog, many of the individual companies, and including the SBA, is accepting the copies that we have if we show that we filed it, which can be done.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is if we're trying to fill out an application for something, we can show them the receipt of it, and that's being acknowledged.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they're doing things. I guess
Well, they know it's too slow. They can't wait months and weeks for a response, and people even the SBA is behind, as you know.
Yes, they are gravely behind.
Yes.
They've come up with some more departments to mail your information to, different departments.
Help expedite things, yep.
Yeah, if you're doing a reconsideration, it goes here. If you're doing the target advance reconsideration, it goes to another email.
Correct.
So, I see the progress in them from starting because we've been doing this thing since it started. So
Correct. Yeah, you're
seeing the
right.
progress of them having everything come to one place to them trying to break it up. So they're trying. They are
And things are
gravely
improving.
behind.
Things
Yeah,
are
they are
improving.
gravely behind.
So we're looking at new applicants are moving a lot faster than the ones who were in prior. We've had new applicants come in and come out, and we've had people in for weeks and months before. So the improvements that they're making is being shown by the way we can close loans now.
Okay, so I just want to go back to talking about housing because I'm big on housing. Personally, I feel like houses is buying debt, but whatever.
It is. Realtors
Are
don't
there
particularly
any
care for me
tax
about that.
breaks? Are there any tax breaks in regards to filing this upcoming tax season and you've just purchased a home? Because I know a lot of people have purchased a house because of the COVID money, that we've
Right.
received. What are the benefits of, I know purchasing a home is yours, you can call it yours, but what are the tax benefits?
As you
Is it-
know, I am not a proponent for buying a new home for your primary residence without having investment property first.
so what would be the best way then?
The best way would be to purchase a home for the purpose of investment property because with the tax reason and tax season has come in and with the new tax law, even the ones that Trump put in order back in 2017, it removed a lot of itemized deductions because the standard deduction is increased.
Yes.
Now what that means? Well, an itemized deduction is every year the Internal Revenue Service gives each individual, based on their filing status, an amount of money that they can write off from the beginning before they filed a return. Prior to 2017, they've always been like single digits. $6,000 you can write off if you're married filing a joint return. $3,000 you can write off if you're single. Well, they've almost tripled it on everything. Now, what you get is a single person gets $16,000, a married person gets $25,000 to write off before you start your return. So if you made $50,000, you get to write off $25,000 if you file a married filing a joint return in that particular year. And therefore, you don't itemize anymore. An itemized deduction was you add up all the things that are tax deductible, and if they come up with more than what the standard deduction is, then you take that. For instance, if you add up all of the amount of money for your property tax, the mortgage interest that you pay, the amount of money that you gave for any type of nonprofit,
Okay.
contributions,
Okay.
Any money that you might have made for medical, see if you qualify. If you add all that up and it comes to more than what the government gives you,
And that would be if you're single.
or married filing a joint return.
No,
married
how
filing a
much for single again?
for this year? If you're single this year, you're looking at $16,000 some odd dollars,
And then
and as
married filing joint.
is $25,700.
So I would need $16,000 as an individual to start getting write-offs.
Correct. Or you take
This is-
no to avoid having to itemize. That's what we need to take a look at. So if you are itemizing,
Okay.
then you need to have more than $16,000 if you're married, more than $25,000 if you're married. I'm sorry, more than $16,000 if you're single, more than $25,000 if you're married.
Okay.
But because now those are the big numbers, people don't itemize. And a lot of folks will wonder, well, man, you're not going to itemize. People are not going to give to nonprofit organizations, et cetera.
Right,
That
right.
didn't change, but that was a fear because of the fact that the government is now giving you this amount as opposed to you have to come out and spend that amount.
Right.
And so therefore, that's why I said, well, less people are, you can't take off these deductions on your home because there's not many deductions on your primary residence. You can only write off your interest, your property tax, and some closing costs or points.
So they're getting these people to sign up debt. So what's the
yeah.
best tax strategy for a house? What would be the best way?
First property you purchase should be an investment property.
Okay.
That investment property allows you to write off everything for that particular property. The
Okay.
insurance, driving back and forth, the repairs. You can't write off repairs on your home. You can't do anything on your own home that you get the benefit from.
Okay.
But unlike a rental property, you get additional deductions and you get to write off the expenses and the amount of money that you spent. So that's why we encourage it. Now, you make that rental property and now it's a property that's not a debt anymore. It is actually a profitable asset.
Okay.
You get another one. So each rental property, let's say it's going to give you money each month. You want to get enough rental properties where it covers the mortgage that you want to buy, which means that you never pay for your mortgage. Your home is bought by your company, and therefore, people, you don't have no debt.
Winning! We are winning.
And that's why you win.
Okay.
You can win like white folks, baby. I'm trying to tell you, this is what you got to do.
Okay, so is it a way that I could live in this investment property?
Yes. You would have your company purchase the property.
Okay.
Now, you will never own it, but
Okay.
your company will.
Okay.
You're a tenant to your company, and when you pay your tenant, when you pay your landlord, who you really paying, baby?
Myself.
And we love it. Another rule that I've learned
Another
from them.
win, and we're winning.
I've learned from them people. I've learned it, and we can't tell y'all.
So buying this property in my company's name, renting to myself, and then writing off everything.
Your company gets to write it off.
Right.
Okay? And therefore,
That's
you have
great.
a lot less debt because there's
great.
no home in your property. There's no credit report that shows that you have any of this or debt.
Right.
But yet you get the advantage of living in a home. You only want to live in a home.
Right.
I mean, do you tell people you own it? Why do you care if you own it? If you get to live in this particular property, which you stay in less than you do in your job, then it's definitely a best way to do it.
Right.
I encourage people to always rent and lease because of the fact that when you buy a home, how much money are you buying?
Yeah.
You buying a whole lot of money.
$220,000.
Average home right now, $220,000, and guess what goes on your credit report? A $220,000 debt. What happens to your credit score? It goes down because the debt ratio has just increased. Now you've just increased your debt. And now you got to pay what? Everything. Lights, gas, water, repairs, all of these things you're paying.
And none of it you get to write off.
And you get to write off none of it. Now let's say you decide in the same neighborhood, but you're going to lease. My down payment on my lease is 2 months rent. My down payment on my home is about 3% of the purchase price. And that's if you get the FHA. Then you have to encourage your down payment. I don't have a down payment when I lease, but I'm still living in the same neighborhood. You come to me and say, Aaron, I just bought a house. I'm excited for how long? Maybe a week. They come by and see it. After they've seen your house a couple of times, no one cares, but guess what you got every month? A debt. A monthly debt that is on you. Let's say, for God forbid, you just, you know what? You just got promoted. Now you got to roll out. Whoa, you stuck with that.
Right.
But when I'm leasing, I got the same comforts of you without the obligations. I don't pay for repairs. I don't have to worry about any of that. If I have to leave, I can break my lease and I won't owe anything on my debt. So there are some advantages in leasing. But if you want to own a home, I encourage you to buy investment property.
Right, that's
now you can own a property. because that's really the only thing that you really want to do
And you
from
wanna
a financial standpoint.
And you own the company, so technically,
Technically, it's still yours.
All right. I like that. I really, 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 really like that. I like that because I see people buy homes and I literally see their whole life change.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
their whole life change, and I'm like, yeah, you know.
Can't hang out no more because some things you can't do. I got to pay that note because it's expensive. It's not just the monthly note. You have your property taxes on the home all the time. So I tell people, you don't technically own it.
Okay.
Even when you pay off the mortgage. Because when that's gone, what dies, taxes don't. You will forever pay this. And if you decide you don't want to pay it, guess what they're going to come do? They're going to come get that house that you said you own.
Right.
So
Wow.
always understand that is that you don't own it just no more than I own the home that I'm renting out, but I have the financial advantage. If you want to buy a home and you truly believe it's important for you to pay this kind of money for a home, then I highly encourage you to buy rental property first so that the monthly note that you receive as income is equal to your mortgage and you don't have to pay that note.
That's an excellent tax strategy. Okay, you know what I want to touch base on? I know you've got some excellent loan opportunities. I know there's people out there that have been working on their credit. That has been a major thing. I've heard
Yes.
people working on their credit, getting their credit score together, just, honing in on that. And I want to know what type of loans and what percentage rates that you have available.
Well, there's some excellent loans, as you know. We've got some new lenders have come out. They've come out very aggressive. After the COVID, we got a lot of people who have actually getting a lot more approvals than I've ever seen in the past. The loans with there's no documentation, and again, I'm pushing the investment property. If you want to buy homes, and many times they're going to ask you how much you make, and what you make and what you report could be night and day. But in this particular program, because we understand that we are coming from the small business owner opportunity, and therefore we know that the monies we make are not always the money we report.
Right.
But yet we still want to have nice things. We want to be able to buy things. We want not to be restricted by the rules and regulations. So there's a no-income program.
Okay.
Now, we've always had it. It's always been around, but this is a true no-documentation. You had to have at least a 700 credit score. I'm sorry,
Okay, so
680 credit score.
no documentation.
Which means that I don't look at how much you make. You got a 680 credit score. You tell me you make $200,000 a year, I'm going to believe you, and we're going to allow you to purchase that property accordingly. That is
Also,
a
it's for
true
property
no-doc.
basis.
For
Property
property
basis.
basis.
Okay.
Now, we do have another program for those individuals who are trying to get small business loans.
Okay.
That's based on either one, your current income per month.
But you know what? Wait a minute. So when you're buying this property and there's no income, it's an no income-based property thing. What are the requirements? But I know your ID, of course,
you,
but
you have to still be in this particular situation, you have to have a business.
Okay.
And you just simply have to have your down payment. Now, your down payment can range from 20 to 30%. But if you have your down payment, which also can be financed, so we can help you with that,
Okay.
then you get out of the opportunity because this is a private funding. The rules and regulations are so less restrictive than they are with your Fannie Mae guidelines, which is a typical way a person buys a home.
Okay.
They want a copy of your most recent pay stub. They want 2-year tax returns. Those things are not things that we look for when we are buying investment properties because we use what we call asset-based loans.
Okay.
It is based on the value of the property, and it's a win for the individual lender because if the home is worth $100,000, we need you to put down $20,000.
okay.
Now, if you put down $20,000 now and the house is worth $100,000, we have $80,000 in equity already there.
Right.
I'm sorry, $20,000 in equity already there. So with that being the case, chances are you're not going to miss your payment. Therefore, the risk is less for us. And therefore, we can continue to loan on top of that and on top of that. And by also allowing you to finance your down payment, you could technically get 100% financing for an investment property.
Okay. So what's the next loan you guys are offering?
The next loan before the investment property loan would be what we call I'm going to see this is the best loan because of the fact that, one, it's based on your bank statements.
Oh, wow.
Many times you can get loans based on the amount of money that you bring in.
Okay.
So if you look at your deposits and your deposits are $5,000 or more, we'll be able to help you get a loan up to 25% of your total income. And that allows you to get some funding without, again, a credit criteria. This is a non-credit loan.
So the first loan, your credit score has to be at least a 7.
Correct.
Okay. And this one
It's a no credit loan. It's strictly based on the amount of money that you
and
bring in.
this is for money
Small
for
businesses.
small businesses. Wow.
Yep.
And what's the cap on the amount you can get?
Well, there's actually the cap is 2.5 million, but we don't have anybody. Well, you know what? You never know. We haven't got anybody that much, but it's based on your monthly revenue that you bring in.
Okay, so the revenue for 2.5 million revenue
It would have to be quite significant.
Okay, so
Yeah, about $100,000 a month. So, but,
Oh, wow.
But the average person's coming to our home into our office, they're looking for a $100,000 loan. So you're looking at about $10,000 a month.
but just what's the rate?
The rate is this is a fee base, so the rate is actually right around 14 to 19% based
Wow.
on. Oh, it's going to be high. Look at the amount of risk. And I tell everybody, what you want to do is not worry about the interest rate. You want to find out if this money is going to help you move to the next level.
Okay.
And therefore, if it makes you to the next level, interest rate is tax deductible. It's a non-existent if it puts you in the right position.
Right.
If a $100,000 loan at 19% interest allows you to make another $200,000-$300,000 that extra year, that interest rate is nothing. And so
Okay.
therefore, that's what you need to know. And that's what we talk about before we even fund you. We want to find out, one, what are you going to use the money for? Two, the money that you're using it for, is it a perfect ROI? That's a return on investment. How
Okay.
much are you going to get? Is it worth doing? And if it's worth doing it, how long will it take you to accumulate a profit while you're making the monthly payments on this loan?
So you've got to have basically a plan.
We must have a plan.
Yes.
Yes, it is important to have a plan when you're borrowing money.
Okay. I mean, I agree. Now, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the difference between a LLC and a corporation, going as far as taxes are concerned.
Okay.
Because some people tend to think that their when they come to file their taxes, they think that you did their taxes, but you didn't do their business taxes. And when they have an LLC, it's on the personal tax return as
That's
a Schedule
correct.
C.
Yeah, it's called a Schedule C.
What
Right.
would be the reasons you would be a corporation? Or, what would be the differences? Because I
Well,
think
one,
we
there's
all
a-
struggle with that.
There's a risk difference. There's if you have any foreign members in your business, then you can't be an LLC because it's limited liability company.
Okay.
If you're going to have what they call a pass-through, the 1120, which is your corporation.
Okay.
Your 1065, which is your partnership. Your 990, which is your nonprofit organization. Those are all what they call pass-through tax returns.
Okay.
It means that the income reported to them is passed to the individual owner.
Okay.
And then from that is the profit. If you have a corporation, it's unlike, it has what they call a double taxation.
Okay.
The corporation itself is taxed on the profit, and then the funds that the money is received by the owners, that's taxed as well. They call it a double taxation, but it's technically not because the entity itself is being taxed on the profit it made, and then the individual owners are being taxed on the monies that they receive from the corporation. So what's best is based on the type of business you have, what you plan on doing, and what kind of members you have, meaning are they all foreign or U.S. domestic, things of that nature.
Okay. So I guess what would be the guidelines for me to file the corporation, or what would be the guidelines to file it? How would I know?
It would take an interview because
Okay.
it depends on your business. It also depends on the amount of risk that you have.
Okay.
If you're an accountant, you could be an LLC.
Okay.
Or if you're an accountant and you take on big clients, you might want to be a corporation because if you make an error and you get sued, you want to have that protection in between yourself. So again, it really truly depends on the risk that your business takes. I encourage people who have dealing with other people, such as renters or people who have daycare centers, to be incorporated because the amount of risk they take on the fact that people can get hurt or people are just litigious. They're going to sue you because they believe you got the money. So if you can put
Wow.
that extra safeguarding between yourself, you may want to consider yourself being an 1120S corporation or make yourself an LLC and get incorporated.
Okay. My next question: are there any tax advantages from being a corporation or an LLC?
Well, yes, there are. By strictly being a business, you're allowing yourself to write off anything that's ordinary and necessary for the profit and operation of that business. Now, that definition is very broad.
Okay,
I mean,
sure.
think about what can you write off that makes your business helpful? Almost everything.
Right.
Lights, gas, water, spouse. They go, how do you do that? Well, if she works for the corporation and she needs to be there, she may have certain needs. I know there was a time where we had an individual client, he had his wife, he did fishing, ice fishing. And that ice fishing itself was expensive, but his wife wanted a fur coat. Fur coat cost $12,000. He bought it and wrote it off. Of course, he got audited, and he fell under the category of ordinary and necessary. Is it ordinary and necessary for his wife to have a fur coat? Well, one, ice fishing is what? Cold. Two, she was the one that helped him courage and kept track of everything. If she's not there, he didn't make a profit. If she's not there, he didn't do these things. And we were able to lay all that out, and ironically, he got his accepted.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
All
now
right.
it was a one time, and not everybody can fall in that category, but you can get what they call a one-time ruling. And a one-time ruling means that this individual falls under the category with the exception of the rules being applied.
Okay, thank you. Well, before we close out today, I just want you to just kind of touch base for those people who are out there who are kind of on the fence about starting a business. What are some of the advantageous tax strategies for having a business? Let's say you work full time, and you may want to start it. Just can you just run a few things down right fast before we close out?
What we tell everybody, the first thing you want to do is run it under your home. You don't want to. You want to keep your overhead as low as possible.
Okay.
And by running your business out of your home, you're going to get the chance to write off additional the tax deductions that you currently couldn't do. Your lights, your gas, your water, those things are tax deductible now when you run a business. The lights, gas that you use every day, the moment you say, I'm going to start a business, a percentage of that, and we do a calculation for that, and it's a formula, now becomes tax deductible. Rent, light, gas, all of that stuff that typically was not tax deductible can become tax deductible. And that in itself is a positive way to start to help reduce the amount of tax that you pay on your money.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to next week. I hope you guys can join us.
Please
at
join us.
6
We appreciate that.
o'clock
Definitely.
For Let's Talk Money.
That's right.
As you can see, Mr. Sanders is a wealth of knowledge. He has a lot of things to share. We'll be coming with more hot topics about finances, and we hope that you can join us.
Money, small business.
Yes.
So if there's anything to talk about money, we're going to talk about it. And so, people, I'll tell you, until next time, same place, same time, and that's the bottom line.